Welcome back, everyone. Let's take a look at the integument or the integumentary system. When we talk about the integumentary system, we're talking about everything you see here on the outside. It's the skin, the hair, the nails. So the integument will probably be one of the first systems that we talk about in AMP1. It's the first system we'll talk about because it's composed of the four types of tissues. The four types of tissues. The integumentary system is made up of epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nerve tissue. So we'll talk about the integument first. The skin is really, really important. It's like our first line of defense. It's our first line of defense of our immune system. It protects everything we have on the inside of the body. And that's why burns or third degree burns are so dangerous because now the mucous membranes and the internal surface of the body is exposed and you're prone to bacterial and viral infections. So the skin has its own bacteria all over it. It's supposed to. We're supposed to have bacteria on the hands, bacteria on the face, bacteria on the eyes. There's good bacteria all over the body that help protect us and keep the bad bacteria away. So many people developed so many different types of conditions and became weaker during COVID. If you remember, from all the alcohol, all the hand sanitizer, they were destroying such good bacteria on the hands and has a major impact on the overall immune system. There's even bacteria in the mouth. And if you use antiseptic mouthwash all the time, you're killing a lot of the good bacteria. You could allow bad bacteria to grow, and there's actually bacteria in the mouth that can spread to the heart that can cause heart disease. The same type of bacteria they find in the heart, they also find in the mouth. So oral hygiene is very, very important. We'll talk about the skin, we'll talk about the hair, and we'll talk about the nails. And the skin has lots of layers to it. The epidermis alone has 5 layers. The dermis has 2 layers. And then we'll also talk about the hypodermis. Okay. Endocrine system, we'll talk about. The endocrine system are made up of different glands in the body that produce hormones. There's endocrine, and then there's exocrine. Endocrine and exocrine glands. Exocrine glands are glands that secrete things to the outer surface of the body, like mammary glands produce milk outside of the body, sweat glands release outside the body, wax glands release outside of the body. But what the pancreas releases gets into circulation. What the kidneys release goes into blood circulation. What the thyroid releases, what the pituitary releases. We'll talk about a lot of glands that produce hormones that influence your physiology. Both the endocrine system and the neural system work hand in hand to create function of the human body. They either act as like the accelerator or they act as the brake to either turn something on or turn something off. We need both the endocrine system and the neural system to do that. When we talk about the muscular system, we'll talk about the muscles much like we did the neural system, and much like we'll talk about bones, where we'll break them down into axial muscles, things we have in the center, and then we'll talk about the upper and lower extremity, the appendicular muscles. Muscles contract, they generate heat. Muscles contract, they create movement. In this particular picture, we're talking about skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle. But we have smooth muscle and we have cardiac muscle. Those are the 3 types of muscle: skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. In this picture, anything that attaches to the skeleton is skeletal muscle, and we also have conscious voluntary control over it. Okay. With our lymphatic system, the lymphatics are part of our immune system. and we have lymphatic organs, or I should say, lymph nodes scattered throughout the entire body. We have them behind the ear, in front of the ear, behind the neck, in front of the neck, all around the breast tissue, in the armpit. We have the spleen, we have the thymus gland, we have the bone marrow, we have inguinal lymph nodes in the arm, lymph nodes in the leg. They're filters. They're helping to clean out the plasma as well and to alert your immune system that there's a virus or some sort of bacteria so that the body can protect itself. The skin is our first line of defense, but when something breaks the barrier and gets in, right, set the alarms go off, and then you have the alert of these lymph nodes. And these lymph nodes are involved in helping send out B cells, okay, to help protect our body. Okay, so when we look here, here's a question that's popped up in the past. Well, what do we have that's highlighted here? Is it the appendicular skeleton? Is it we never talked about a peripheral skeleton, and we never talked about a central skeleton, so we can eliminate that. But we have learned about the appendicular or axial skeleton. So what do we have here in the center? Well, that's going to be the axial skeleton. Everything that's not highlighted, that's the appendicular skeleton. All right, now we're looking at the muscles and we look at what's blue. All right, let's see if we can rule anything out. Rectus muscles. Well, even though you don't know much about anatomy at this point, hopefully we know that the rectus abdominis muscles are here and that the oblique muscles are here. So we can rule that out. So now we're looking between axial muscles and appendicular muscles. Axial is in the center. So everything highlighted here are the appendages. That's the appendicular skeleton. Okay, what we're looking at is the brain and the spinal cord. So we know that that's the central neural system, but they're not asking for structure, they're asking for function. So is it involved in removing wastes? Is it involved in destroying foreign invaders? It's the control center or it connects to muscles. Well, can't be connecting to muscles. That would be these out here. So the control center, Houston control, is the brain and the spinal cord, the CNS. Now we're looking at this blue structure right there. That happens to be the pancreas. These are the kidneys. Above it are the adrenals. That's your thymus. That's your thyroid gland. If we take the thyroid gland and we look at it from the back, from the posterior, we could see these parathyroid glands are only seen on the posterior. And then we see testes and we see ovaries. Even though these are part of the male and female reproductive, they're also part of the endocrine system because the testes and the ovaries make hormones. Even though the kidneys are part of the urinary system, the kidney makes vitamin D, which is a hormone. The kidney makes erythropoietin, which is a hormone. The pancreas makes insulin and glucagon. These are hormones. The thyroid makes T3 and T4, which is T4 is thyroxine, T3 is triiodothyronine. These are hormones. Okay, the highlighted structure, that's a give me, right? That's the blue. The blue, that's the heart. The aorta, that's that large blood vessel right there. Okay, it's not the trachea, it's not the thymus, and it's not the aorta. Okay, so now we're looking at the lungs. So we know we're looking at the respiratory tract. We know we can divide a line here. Everything up here is upper respiratory. Everything down here is lower respiratory tract and an upper respiratory tract, right? People can have an upper respiratory tract infection or a lower respiratory tract infection. So what we have here in this blue region, that is the upper respiratory tract. What do we have here in blue? Okay, you may not know this yet, so a little bit of studying. We have a small intestine here, and then think of the large intestine as the picture frame. So small intestine is the picture, everything going up and around and down, that's the large intestine. Okay, the liver is here, that's the liver. The stomach is here, and this little green thing right there, that's the gallbladder. Okay, so the small intestine is here. What's the picture frame in blue? Well, that's going to be the large intestine. This is the liver, and this is the stomach. Right here is the esophagus. This is the parotid gland. We have some salivary glands down here. Under the tongue is sublingual, and under the mandible, submandibular. All right, so now we got a few blue structures. Looks like we have the tongue, we got the parotid gland, we got the parotid gland here, we have the tongue over here, we have the liver, we have the pancreas, and we have the gallbladder. So these things are not the main part of the digestive tract, so these are considered accessory digestive organs. Accessory. Okay, good place to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some interesting topic about some anatomical terminology.